All the way through, Mark Ferguson from Elsthorpe. Stand number 1, whips the belly off. Chris Dixon from Mikitahuna into the first hind leg. Duncan Higgins on there from Marlborough on stand number 3. Winds his way down. Slides a couple of big shots up the undermine. Dane Fredrickson. Way through the first hind leg for this young man. From Tumby Bay. Where's Tumby Bay, Jerome?
I'm not sure, but we'll find out. I know it's somewhere in Australia. So, if that's any help.
I wonder if it's on the coast somewhere.
I've got an Australian in the crowd, a big fella. He does a bit of fishing and part-time shearer. His name's Shannon. I'm sure he'll come and tell me where he's from.
Yeah.
But he's a good shearer, this Dane. He's been going around the shows. But young old Cobber Higgins here up the long blue. But it's Chris Dixon, Ekatahuna down he comes now. He looks like he's got a bit of a handy lead already. So, you know, they've got 5 sheep to shear, so they can just free their arms up a bit now and let the blows go and keep the quality, keep the bottom tooth down on the skin. And I'm sure they'll all push hard to make that final 6.
Yeah, they will, no doubt. Jerome, Jesse Buckley down there from Matoda on stand number 5, down into the flanky drops. But Chris Dixon on stand 2, first in for the second sheep. Down comes Quinton Chase as well, sheep number 1 on the board. Mark Ferguson, Cobb Higgins dropping together, 1, 2. Out they come. But Chris Dixon, first hind leg. Like you said, Jerome, he's worked into a handy lead already. If he can keep this pace up all the way through, he's going to have a comfortable lead on the rest of the field after a couple of sheep. Dane Fredrickson, Jesse Buckley and Quinton Chase and the bottom 3 shearers. The bottom 3 stands, rather, not the bottom 3 shearers. Stands 4, 5 and 6 up the undermine for Duncan Higgins on stand 3. Up comes Mark Ferguson. Breaks the neck well open. She comes off for Mark, but Chris Dixon, he's already been there and done that. Away into the long blow he goes. Cobb Higgins. She's around into the first front shoulder. The Marlborough man on stand number 3. Long blow time. So some of these young guys, there'll be a bit of nerves, a bit of friction up there, Jerome, to start with. And I'm sure once we get going, they'll settle into it. 5 sheep to shear, so it's a good number for these young fellas to settle into. And a bit of a challenge, of course. We want to find our top 6 out of these fellas, so we don't want to give it to them. They've got to fight for it.
That's right, Norm, yeah. And young Chris, he's off to a good start, but Cobber Higgins, he's coming at him hard. And Mark Ferguson from Elsthorpe down there, down the last side, he comes and he's out the last hind leg, but they're strong, good shearing sheep. Then they are going to test. They will test you. So, he's just pushed. Get out that porthole on stand 3, but Cross, he's looking good now. He's down the belly on sheep number 3.
Could I just come in here, guys, quickly? Can we call all open shearers? Thank you. Open shearers that are starting to enter the stadium, come and register in and pick your signal up. Thank you.
Up the neck comes Cobber Gibson. Chris Dixon just dropped back 1 blow, and that's Cobber Higgins, from Marlborough. Round the back of the ear, comes onto the first front shoulder. Closely followed by Chris Dixon on stand 2. But this Cobb, he's got a little peeler and he's on the long blow. He's just starting to loosen up a bit and he's taken a little bit of a slight lead. And it's the men on stands 1, 2 and 3. They're about half a sheep ahead of the rest now, so they know what they got to do to make their final. And now they just got to get up and execute it. Dixon having a bit of trouble with that one. He's got it under control now down the last side. Look at all these open shearers queuing up. Norm, it's like breakfast at a big shearing quarters.
Yeah.
Anyone would think they're getting a free singlet, but they actually paid for it, eh?
They did pay for it in the long run, Joe. About 70 open shearers, so they're fantastic entries here at the Golden Shears this year, right through the grades. Mark Ferguson down he winds, but Cobber Higgins, in he goes, old Cobber. There on stand number 3, Mark Ferguson, he's right there with him. Old Cobb, he took his time getting up on the stage, Jerome, but he wants to get off pretty quick. He obviously doesn't like it up there.
Yeah, he was a bit late setting his gear up, but hasn't affected the way he started here. Into the first leg, the man, Cobber Higgins from Marlborough, has got a ring to it, isn't it, Norm? Up the undermine he comes now. Dane Fredrickson, in he goes. The Aussie boy on stand 4. Jesse Barclay, Southland man, down the last side he comes. Quentin Chase from Taumaranui down there on stand 6. He's coming down the last side, but it stands 1, 2 and 3. Or stands 4's back in the equation. But it's stand number 3 at this stage, round onto the first front shoulder. Just keeps that sheep moving nicely. Norm, we were talking about that earlier, these strong sheep. You've got to keep them moving. Stay on your toes and just keep flowing on them, and he's doing a good job of it.
He is just pushing it away from him as he sort of swings around into the long blow. Shearing nicely, and experience starting to show in some of these guys, these full-time shearers. A wee bit of experience. So Duncan, of course, or Cobber, whatever he wants to be called, he's been around for a little while now, and he shears all different types of breeds and wool types up there in Marlborough. So quite handy sort of a shearer, this young man. Chris Dixon turns for home. Mark Ferguson on 1. He's already been there and done that. He's ran onto the last front shoulder, but Cobber Higgins, out he goes. Old Cobber heads in for another one. Last sheep on the board for Duncan Higgins. 6 minutes and 35 seconds gone on the clock, and he's got his 5th and final sheep out on the board. Way through the long blow for Dane Fredrickson. Jesse Buckley from Matoda on stand 5. Way through the long blow for the young Southlander. And Quentin Chase down there on stand number 6 from Taumaranui. Swings and lays it into the long blow. Finishing touches for Chris Dixon on stand number 2. And out it goes in for sheep number 5 as well. So some of these guys, they got their 5th sheep on the board. Jerome and just shearing nicely. It's the wee step up from the junior we just witnessed before lunch.
Oh, it is a step up in class. Intermediate semi-final. Stands 1, 2 and 3. They got their last sheep out on the board. There's still the man on stand 3. Cobber Higgins round onto the long blow. He's swinging now. He's having a good shear too. He's really wants to be in that final when we can get our top 6. Bit of a kicker down there on 6. Starting to heat up in the old stadium, Norm. He's filling up. The sun's up. So sheep will be shearing better this afternoon. So we can expect some fireworks.
Yeah, right. They always shear a bit better with a bit of heat, and it's probably doesn't suit you, Jerome, with the extra few pounds you've got on at the moment. The old heat will probably get to you a little bit, but just sing out if you want a bit of a break and get out some fresh air. I'll take over.
No, you're right there, Normie.
Right out onto the back leg for Cobb Higgins on stand number 3 from Marlborough. Another couple of shots and he'll swing that sheep down the hole. Look for the red button that'll stop his clock. Duncan Higgins done and dusted. And down comes Chris Dixon this time. So he's just got away from Mark Ferguson a little bit. Good strong finish from Chris Dixon. Right out over the tail, and he's going to slide his one out the hole as well. There's a red button for Chris Dixon. Well done, Chris. And down comes Mark Ferguson. Jesse Barclay finishing touches to the long blow, and he turns onto the cheek. So he's a couple of shots ahead of Dane Fredrickson now. They were blow for blow the last sheep, and now Jesse Barclay looking for a good finish down over the last front shoulder. The last front shoulder also for Dane Fredrickson, but a couple of shots back off the pace as Jesse sweeps out onto the back leg. Here's Mark Ferguson. Red button time for Mark. Jesse Barclay, Dane Fredrickson. Down comes Quentin Chase. Well done, Jesse. And Dane Fredrickson from Tumbley Bay. Out the hole it goes. Quentin Chase from Taumaranui just going to straighten that back leg out so he can get on onto it, and he'll wipe the wool off the back leg over the tail, and it'll be out the hole. He'll be looking for the red button very shortly, and that'll bring heat number 1 of the intermediate semis to a close. Well done, guys. Heat number 1. Give them a hand, folks, and Greg will bring the next heat up on the stage.
Yeah, heat number 2, the intermediate semi-finalists. On stand 6, Daniel Seed. Stand 5, Ruka Brack. Stand 4, Liam Lowry. Stand 3, Tararau Brown. And 2, Trent Hughes. And on 1, Jaden Paul.
Yeah, no, that's been me. I just sit down and give the big fella shit.
Heat 3, I've already mentioned your names. You guys can start assembling at the foot of those stairs when these guys are halfway through. Thank you, guys.
Quick look at your sheep, shearers. Got a bit to get through this afternoon. Another good heat intermediates in the semi-final. Referee to stand 4, is it? 5?
Just while we're waiting, just unofficial, but I think we've got about 68, 70 in the open this afternoon, Norm. That's a big field.
Good field. Great to see this year the Golden Shears, because that sort of matches all the other grades, Greg, doesn't it? Fantastic number of entries here this year.
It's been fantastic, hasn't it? Like last year, there were a lot of entries were down, and people were possibly looking at the world champs in Invercargill, the reason why, but we couldn't really pin it, and we're all very anxious and nervous what was going to happen this year. But it's unfolding to be really great, and yeah, let's hope we're all back on track again.
Ended up.
So just waiting while the referee does his job up there, working through the field, making sure everyone's happy. We'll get the shearers on the board and underway very shortly. We have the green light. Shouldn't be any reason why we can't start.
Oh, the final with Jimmy went real well. Yeah. It's going to be close. Yeah.
2 shearers on the board. Come on, guys. Out on the board.
Wait, they would have got us a bit on time and see what happens.
Oh, good on you.
You happy, Paul?
Shearing and Woolhandling.
No.
Woolhandling was good. We'll forget about the shearing this year. The old man stitched me up, man. His choice to come, not trusting him again.
Bit of pressure coming on. These fellas get a bit nervous. They all want the referee.
I never called the referee when I was shearing, Nom, ever.
I bet you called the referee some names.
Yep.
No, but the referee at the back was probably called on you, on some of your sheep, Joey.
Yeah, well, you know, you just got to look after stock these days. They're worth a lot of money, and yeah, if you leave a little bit of fluff on, they won't die if there's a storm.
No, that's right, yeah.
It's all bigger picture, eh?
There's a big difference between a little bit of fluff and a whole stable of wool left on here and there, though.
Your sheep look pretty well shorn after a month anyway, once the wool grows again. And they even up. Right. Must be close, eh?
Thanks, Paul. So the shearers are at the door, please. Timekeepers ready. Competitors set, go. And away we go. Heat number 2 in the intermediate semi-finals, the top 18. It's sure, and the heat's up here right now, looking for a place in the top 6 in the big final tomorrow night. Away down the belly they roll. Big Taweta Brown. He had a good shear in the heats, Jerome, this fella, the big guy in the middle. And looking to do the same here. He wants that spot in the top 6. He wants that ribbon with Golden Shears written on it. He wants the red one, of course. And up the undermine he sweeps. Top knot comes off, so he's first or thereabouts into the top of the head. But Daniel Seed right there with him as they snap the neck open together and work their way up into the base of the ear. Around the back of the head, up comes Trent Hughes, up comes Jaden Paul. Liam Lowry's already there, got a bit of a kicker, but he's got it under control. Rooker Braddock, around into the base of the ear, into the front shoulder. Swinging around the side of the sheep now is Daniel Seed. Long blow time for Taweta Brown as well. Long blow time for Rooker Braddock from Ekatahuna on stand 5. Away up the backbone they sweep. Another couple of shots and they'll turn for home. So the pace just possibly a little quicker in this heat, Jerome. They've had the luxury of watching one heat and they've been keyed up, ready to go. As long as the sheep sit there for them, they'll be right down onto the last side and last leg very shortly.
Yeah, it looks a little bit quicker this heat, didn't it, Norman? Big fella on stand 3. He's a good shearer. Down the last side. He's been shearing well. Taweta Brown from Martinborough just down the road. He'll be going in for sheep too. Oh, no, but Braddock beats him in. Comes from that big family of the Braddock in the shearing industry. Ekatahuna on stand number 5. Down the belly he goes. Oh, a bit of a kicker on stand 4 to pop the head out. But She's going to be hard to pick, the top 6 in this one, Norm. Like, there's not a lot in it, but amongst these shearers, eh?
Not a lot in it. So just while we're watching them work their way into their second sheep, we have a red Hilux out on the car park somewhere. TG 3112, got a flat deck on it, got the lights on out there. Someone's flat deck red Hilux out in the car park, got your lights on, fellas. TG 3112. So up the neck and around the back of the head for Tawera Brown. He's just following Daniel Seed though. Daniel Seed swings around on the shoulder, going to lay it into the long blow. 2:24 gone on the clock. Well through sheep number 2 for Daniel Seed. From Woodville, this young man on stand number 6. He wipes the wool off the backbone. Tawera Brown, he's coming as well. So's Rooker Braddock. Up the neck for the rest of these guys. Jaden Paul just steps through and up now on stand number 1 from Timaranui. But down they pour. Tawera Brown, like I said, he had a good share in the heats. Not sure where he qualified, but he's here. It doesn't really matter. It's out the back door this time. Wants to qualify within the top 6 into the next round is all he's got to do. Well, when I say all, that's quite a bit. Down he comes. But Daniel Seed head forward, right out onto the back leg. Rooker Braddock from Mikitahuna. Blow for blow as they step into the pen together. Stands 5 and 6, having a ding-dong battle. These two, Jerome.
Yeah, she's very good heat. Those two boys down on stands 5 and 6. Just leading the way at the moment. The Ballywall comes flying off for them. Daniel Seed from Woodville. He turns into the first leg. He's a couple of blows ahead. He's firing it in, Norm. Up the undermine he comes. He's not mucking around. He's going to pick the pace up and keep the quality he wants to be in the final. He's got quite an open sheep. And a good thing when you get a sheep like that, you can actually just push ahead a bit and get a bit of distance and get a bit of a flow on. So he's swinging hard onto the long blow. She's picked up about a quarter of a sheep already, Norman.
Yes. I think when we said that Rooker Braddock was coming back at him and they walked into the pen together, he thought, no way, I want to be in front. So here he is, he's in front. He turns for home on sheep number 3. Gun over the last front shoulder. Still a couple left in the pen for him. Rooker Braddock swings around through the shoulder. Tawera Brown right there with Rooker. Long blow time for these guys. Stands 3 and 5. But Daniel Seed, he's got the bit between his teeth, this fella. Chucking the steel under the hind leg. Right round over the tail. He just rolls it out there. Big flowing blows. Another couple of shots. And he'll be looking for sheep number 4. Rooker Braddock this time, not stepping into the pen with him, that's for sure. He's out in his own, Jerome.
Yeah, he's having a great share down the last side, Braddock, but it's that man on stand 6. Daniel Seed. You watch this undermine, he was firing it in the last one, Norm.
Oh, away he goes.
That reminds me of another big, tall fella that used to share and retire, but he always used a lot more blows and was a lot rougher, but he's up the neck.
Tony Costa.
Yeah,
terrific
yeah,
share of that man, yeah. But anyway, he's up the neck and he's made a bit of gap in the field. He's like Jerome McRae at the pub with all his mates. He's out on his own. Way around in the first front shoulder, long blow time. Just stretching the lead even more this time as Rooker Braddock flicks the belly up. Tawera Brown into the first hind leg. But Daniel Seed from Woodville on stand number 6, showing them all a clean pair of heels as he drops down over the last front shoulder of sheep 4. 1 left in the pen. Jaden Paul just steps in for his 4th sheep. Belly comes off on stand number 1. Trent Hughes from Glen Murray steps through and up the neck on his 4th sheep. Liam Lowry from Glen Murray as well on stand number 4. Change of steel for that young man. In and out of the pen he steps. But she's all Daniel Seed this time. Again, Jerome as he slides back out on to the board with his 5th and final sheep.
Yeah, he's having a great share. He ripped the door off the hinges. He went in that hard. And Ballywall comes off. Braddock turns for the last side. Tawera Brown down the last side. Trent Hughes down the last side. But it's still Daniel Seed. 1, 2. Whacked another one in there up the undermine. Up the neck he comes now. round the back of the ear, Liam Larry from Glen Murray, but Seeds whap one around him already. And go stands 2 and 3. But that's his last sheep down there on stand 6. Look at him go. Man from Woodville just up the road. He's keeping his jaw pretty good too, Norm, so he's going to have a fair crack at it. He's decided, right, I'm going to hook into it and then get this out of the way, and then everyone else can see where they end up. So good aggressive attitude, mate.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, Jerome. Just get stuck in. And like you say, let everyone else make a few mistakes. Either miss out or get in, but leave it up to them. Down the last side, he pulls the sheep number 5. Young man from Woodville. Another couple of shots. He'll be looking for the red button. So got away on the rest of the field, this man. Looks like he's showing nicely. Looks like on the board that he's kept his job together. So out it goes. Well done, Daniel. Nice shearing. So he's sort of done the best he can do to get through to the next round. It's up to the judges and the rest of the competitors now. So where are we at for the rest? For the next man off, looks like it might be Trent Hughes on stand number 2. Down the last side he paused, 5th sheep on the board. Down comes Big Tarawera Brown on stand number 3. Last shoulder time for him as Liam Larry hops in for his 5th and final sheep. And Trent Hughes, there it is, red button time for Trent on stand number 2. Well done, Trent. And Big Tarawera Brown right out onto the back leg, just slides the wall off. Oh. Don't want to go there while it's bringing this leg back. Another couple of shots for Tarawera. I don't think that sheep's going to go far at all. Out over the tail, cleans it up, hits the red button, time clock stop. Rooker Braddock right there as well, blow for blow. And Jaden Paul, another shot over the tail. There's Jaden's red button. Liam Larry from Glen Murray just up into the base here and around the back of the head. They're just going to finish off this second heat of the Trust House Intermediate semi-finals.
Well, there was a good shear down there to Daniel Seed. He's really sowing the seed there, Norman. He blasted away.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one, Joey.
Yeah, I thought it was quite original too, mate. Liam Larry, last front shoulder.
Yeah,
a couple of blows to go. He was not far away either.
I see Daniel just stepped out on the board so he could see what his points were.
Trent Hughes, he had a good share. He'd be happy with that, I think. Braddock had a good share, so it's going to be pretty close.
Well done, guys. That's the way. Give them a hand as they leave the stage. Some of these boys, hopefully, we'll see back. Some of them we're going to say goodbye to. And we'll get Greg to bring heat number 3, the final heat in the top 18 of the intermediate, up onto the stage now.
Thank you, guys. Heat number 3 on stand 6. Jeremy Le Guin. He's from France. Welcome, Jeremy, to New Zealand. On 5, Gideon Davies. Madison Bright next. Brandon Maguire Ratama.
Good afternoon, viewers out there in the World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Golden Shears for the year 2018, and we're into the Thursday afternoon. We're starting to crank up here, folks. It's just about time for open elimination shearers. This is the top echelon of the big boys in the shearing industry, and we're not too far away from getting underway with that. And that this year is sponsored by Bailey's Real Estate, and we acknowledge and thank them for the wonderful sponsorship. Something like, I couldn't put a figure on, but it's thousands of dollars. But folks out there, we welcome into the studio Mr. Ronnie King. Welcome along to the studio, Ronnie. Kei te mihi atu, kia ora. And Ronnie is the overall chief referee for the whole shooting box here at the Golden Shears. And we welcome here. It's a new role for Ronnie. So, Ronnie,
yeah,
you don't seem to be under any stress.
Oh, fortunately for me, I haven't come in cold. The outgoing chief referee is still in the background with a little
Mentoring?
mentoring a little bit too, and just there for a bit of backup if I need it. I haven't needed it so far, unfortunately, but it's been really good to have that support around me.
That's the mighty Alan Precious, isn't it?
The mighty Alan Precious, yeah. The legendary Alan Precious.
Legend unto himself. No, he's a great guy, and
Yes.
I'd like to think he's right there on your shoulder and
Yes, yep.
steering you here.
Yep.
It's good to you haven't come in cold. That's absolutely right. Hey, look, just over the show as we're working away.
Yep.
Any major hiccups yet?
No, not as such, really. You always get a few little glitches here and there. Probably the biggest glitches we've had is just a few little computer things, but nothing that we couldn't sort out. Fortunately, we checked things manually, so they were checked, and then before everything got too...
Cool.
Right. So, no, really, apart from that, yeah. No, we seem to be running fairly smoothly so far.
Well-oiled machine, this Golden
Yes,
Shears.
yes.
And what happens if it starts to rain? What's your guys' plan there?
Everything's well catered for. We've got everything well planned out ahead of us. All the trucking guys know, the farmers know where the sheep, they put them all undercover. So, as I say, it's a well-oiled machine, so everything just falls into place. Everyone knows what they need to do if they need to. So it'll carry on, yeah.
The sheep this year, are they in magnificent order?
Yeah, they are. They're in very good condition, and that's a credit to all the farmers involved. They've done a very good job this year. It's been a good season. If anything, it's probably not a typical Masterton Golden Shears weather, really, because it is a bit wetter and a bit greener. So the sheep are in better condition overall,
right.
so it's good.
Look, just looking quickly over the show,
Yep.
the entries are way up.
Yeah, they are,
That's
which
amazing.
is really good, yeah. Yesterday we were something like 20% up on last year, and I know we're above that again now. It's probably due to a few things. I know we had the World Shearing Champs last year, so that may have dropped it a little bit, but we're above our average anyway, so that's really good to see. It's a good thing to see that the industry's still strong.
Great, great. And what does your family think of you taking on this role? What's Buzz think? This is a family thing, you know.
Yeah, this is a family thing. She's happy. She was down here yesterday and supported me, and my two children. We had an event for the kids, so they entered that.
Right.
So they're right behind it, and I think they're quite proud that I'm involved in it. So I'm quite fortunate to, as they say, behind every good man is a good woman.
Yeah, that's the way it is. and she doesn't mind saying a spade is a spade too.
No,
So
which is good. Yeah.
she'll let you know if you're in the wrong track. So Ronnie, it's
That's
wonderful.
right.
Hey, we're coming to the Golden Shears. The Bailey's Real Estate open now.
Yep.
Some top shearers there.
There is some top shearers.
I
Very good
believe there's
shearers.
a real battle going on with 4 shearers.
Yep.
Roland Smith,
Yep.
Gavin Much,
Yes.
John Kirkpatrick, and David Buick.
Yep.
That's those guys have really come through, haven't they?
Through the season, they've been battling it out, really, you know. Roland's obviously still coming out on top, but those guys are really nipping at the heels, you know, and they're coming into their form right at the right time, you know, just before the Golden
It's
Shears.
peaking time. Because earlier on, back in the AMP shows, Gisborne, Hawke's Bay and Waipukurau, Roland was winning quite consistent with a big margin.
Yes.
And just lately, it's been 0.3,
It's been narrowed
0.2.
up considerably.
And
Exactly.
there's that permeating
Yes.
excitement. There's some young shearers, young Jack Fagan coming in
Yes,
there,
yeah.
and Floyd Neal, all those
that's
guys.
right too. There's a
And-
bit of dynamic out there. It's exciting new young fellas coming through. So
Yes.
you know, you can never discount those guys either.
No, it's fantastic. Well, Ronnie, we wish you well for the rest of the Golden Shears, and
you very
if
much,
you had
Paul.
some time, we might have a little bit of yarn tomorrow afternoon,
That'll be
and we'll see where the cards have fallen and who's been shuffled a good hand. So, folks out there, this is Ronnie King, the chief referee over the whole entire Golden Shears, and we now go back to the stadium. And we're just having a little bit of a tidy up. I think it's still the intermediate semi-finals, and we get underway with the Bailey's Real Estate Open Shootout. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you.
Leg on knee. Onto the board of the sheep number 2. Ireland on stand at number 2, sheep number 2. But it's still Madison Bright as he works his way around into the front shoulder. Got a handy sort of a lead on the rest of the field already, Jeremy. So just like the last heat, looks like at least one of these shearers is going out strong. Jerome.
Oh, thank you, Norm.
I was trying to get you in there earlier, but you're too busy gas bagging.
Yeah, I'm sort of sitting amongst the crowd and talking to shearers and talking tactics and watching the shearing and talking a few other things. And
talking.
Yeah, that's right. But this Madison Bright down the last side, he's a good young shearer, this boy. I used to share with his dad and his uncle down there in Lawrence. Big shearing family over the years. Couple of blows to go out the last leg. That Welsh boy, Gwendon Davis, he's a quality shearer. So too Jeremy Leone. How do you say his last name?
Legoni.
Leone.
Legoni.
Okay, I'll get it right. He's a good young fellow. I got to meet him a couple of days ago, and very determined young shearer from France. Madison Bright, Brendan Wairarapa, he's up the long blow. He's been winning a lot of shows. This boy just got a bit of a wriggler. He won't panic. He'll just shear it and carry on. Down the last side he comes, but this Madison Bright, he started well, Norm. Big sweeping blows up the leg, keeping that comb flat on the skin, hard on the skin. Up the neck he comes now. Just walks up, casual. So he'll be eyeing this final, no doubt.
Yes, he's got a nice cruisy style. Not much effort required there to get himself around the sheep, which is good. In goes Joe Boylan, the Irishman. In goes Brandon Wairarapa, second niggly sheep in a row for Brandon. So I hope they settle down a wee bit for him. Just give him a fair chance getting through to that final. It'll be great to see one of these good young South Island shearers in that final. Madison Bright sweeps his way up the long blow, but Gwydion Davies from Wales, here he comes as well. Long blow time for Gwydion. Jeremy Legoni, the Frenchman, swings around into the long blow as well. Lewis with him, down over the last front shoulder. Sheep number 3 on the board for Lewis. Under the leg and down into the flank very shortly. Right out onto the back sock for Madison Bright. So Lewis with him, just about back with him. He's just about back with him. Around the back of the head for Brandon Wairarapa. Sheep just niggling him around a wee bit, but Madison Bright changes still there. Different tactic for Madison. Fresh cut for the last couple of sheep. Nothing wrong with that. And out to the toe for Gwydion Davies. In goes Jeremy with him this time. Change of steel there on stand number 1 as well. So maybe a bit of dust or something in some of these sheep. Gwydion Davies hops in and out again with sheep in number 4. One left in the pen for these guys. Last side time for Wairarapa. Last side time for Joe Boylan on stand number 2. On the board for the Frenchman, the Welshman, the man from Takabau, and the man from England. 6, 5, 4, and 1. Down the last side for Brandon Wairarapa, right out to the toe. Down comes Joe Boylan. Not much between these two shearers, but the rest of the field just got a slight gap on them, Jerome.
Yeah, it's Maguire's coming back into the equation. Brandon Maguire, and he goes. He picked up a lot of time on that sheep. He'll just keep the job, and I'm sure we'll see him later. He's a top quality shearer, that boy on stand 3, but it's still Madison Bright in stands 4, 5, and 6. We got the Maori boy, the Welsh boy, and a French boy. That sounds like a punchline for one of your jokes, Norman.
Yeah, it certainly does. I don't know about one of my jokes, but someone's jokes. But Brandon Wairarapa snaps the neck well open. He got a bit of a wriggle on this time, but as long as he doesn't panic too much. He got a couple of kicky sheep to start with, which set him back, but he just wants to stay in touch. He doesn't have to be first off. They're taking 6 through to the final. He's got to be in those first 6. Right out onto the back leg for Madison Bright on stand at number 4. Down comes Gwydion Davies. Oh, the Frenchman down there on stand. Number 6, he's first into the pen for sheep 5. He's peeling them back.
Oh, look at him go, Norm. Look at the big fella on stand number 6. He was telling me the other day he does a bit of powerlifting in his spare time.
Yep.
Oh, the bloody arms on him.
Oh, mate, he gets a bit of practice on that. He'll be able to put some weights on the bar.
He needs a few protein shakes, that boy, but geez, he can share the little French fella on 6 up the neck. Madison Bright, he's still shearing controlled. Here comes Maguire. He's caught up with them. He's doing a great job outside as well. So he's not panicking. He's just going to shear this last one. But round onto the long blow comes a Frenchman. We might see him shearing in France next year for his country, Norm, hopefully. What do you reckon?
We may well have some good shearers over there in France, and Jeremy Legonese, just one of a few that we've seen around the South Island circuit. You've seen a few of these boys shearing up here, Jerome. These Frenchmen, they've been around. They're actually quite handy.
Yeah, they are good shearers.
But the international boys that have shorn in the French team the last couple of years, they haven't been out here, but they're very, very good. So good to see Jeremy up here doing so well. Right out onto the back leg on sheep number 5. He slides another couple of shots, and he's going to be the first man to hit the button on stand number 6. Well done, Jeremy. And Madison Bright, last leg, followed Madison as well as he just drops over the tail. And Gwydion Davies, the Welshman, handy shear from the Welshman as well. He's pretty handy. Madison Bright can stretch his back. And Gwydion Davies, out it goes for the Welshman from Machanleith and Machanleith.
Look at that Maguire Radima's points. He got kicked around the first 2 sheep, and he's probably going to be close to top qualifying in this. So that's the thing. He just kept his head sure as sheep, and he's done a great job. Gwendon Davis, he's going to be happy. Pretty good heat, this one, actually.
It is.
They've still got sheep to go in, though, so...
Young Brandon, you'd know his uncle, Eddie Maguire, Jerome,
yes.
back in the day.
Yeah, I do.
I'm sure this young fella reminds me a lot of Eddie.
Yeah, oh, he does, yep.
So there he is, Lewis with him. Sheep out the hole. He'll get to turn his handpiece off sooner or later, I suppose, but one thing at a time. Can't do 2 things at once. Not like some of the girls in that. They reckon they can, what do you call it, when you can do 2 things at once, Jerome?
Multitasking.
Yeah. I'm not so sure. I told my ex-missus to sit down and shut up one time. Do you think she could do both those things at the same time? There's no way.
That's why you just said the word ex-missus, bro.
Yeah, bro. And Joe Boylan. Give them a hand, ladies and gentlemen. All our intermediate grade top 18. Great to see them up there competing for a place in the top 6. The big final coming up tomorrow night for these guys. We'll let you know who the top 6 are as the results come to hand. And that's going to be a very, very exciting final. The Golden Shears Trust House sponsored intermediate shearing final. So the next event on the card, Greg?
Yeah, Norm, we're moving into the big boys now, into the
big
open
boppers.
heats. So all hell, let's go here, doesn't it? But it obviously takes a minute or 2 to flick things over. But anyway, I have announced Heat 1, which will be on stand number 6, obviously, Martina Mason, Bowden Hawkins, Dean Herlihy, Pete Clendon, Conan Tikini and Richard Sturris. So there we are, that's heat number 1. Heat number 2, on stand 6, David Gower, Ringa Pawai, Jason Ratama, Scott Gurki, Jovan Taiki and Ricky Alabasta. Heat number 2 of the intermediate. Heat number 3, stand 6, Sam Welsh. Now that's L. Cummings, is it? Ant Frew, Eli Cummings, sorry. Ant Frew, Stacey Tahuia, Shane Ireland and Colin O'Neill. All right, there we go. Those are first 3 heats up. So that first heat, if they can be assembled, please. There'll be a quick turnover. We really do need to keep moving. Just as a matter of interest, our committee have noticed that some of the shearers are putting their handpieces on those chairs down there. We'd really appreciate, guys, if you want to put them somewhere, put them on the floor, because what you're doing, you're dropping oil on the seats. That's premier seating, and we don't really appreciate that. So let's have some manners. If you can take your handpieces onto that nice seating in the front there, put your handpieces on the floor, not on the seating. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Greg. So we might be waiting on some sheep, are we, up there? Well, they're in the pen. I can see a couple of feet.
Hello.
Okay, so we'll get these guys up on the stage, please, and their shearing judges. Big thanks to our shearing judges for all the work they do here in the 3 days, the big 3 days. Martini Mason on stand 6, Bodine Hawkins 5, Dean Hurley 4, Peter Clendon 3, Kernan Tekini 2, Richard Sturris on stand number 1. You can hop up there. So 6 competition sheep, these guys are going to battle their way around. So right, so there we go, up on the big screen above the shearers, ladies and gentlemen, the top 6 competitors in the senior. You can see 1 through to 6 there. Top qualifier into the final, Gwydion Davies from Wales, Daniel Seed, Brandon Maguire Radama, Trent Hughes, Cobb Higgins and Madison Bright. They're our top 6 that will compete in the big final tomorrow night. So really looking forward to those guys. What a lineup. Great to see international shearers in there, and of course great to see our big Kiwi boys in there. So moving on to the big bangers of the shearing world, ladies and gentlemen, the open heats are here at the Golden Shears. We have 70 odd shearers competing here this afternoon, Gerald. So a fantastic number of entries here. Gerald Spain, ladies and gentlemen, giving us a hand on the microphone now.
Yeah, thanks very much, Norm. Yeah, we've got a lot to get through, but it'll be exciting from the minute we kick off to the minute we finished.
If I could just come in here quickly, Gerald, we're just waiting for these open competitors, please, to register in. Ben Hodder, Mark Buick, Murray Henderson, Digger Balm, Richard Pearson and Jack Fagan. So you guys get registered, please. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Greg. We have the thumbs up from the referee, so we'll have the shearers on the board. We have the green light from the points team. Heat number 1 it is of the